You're listening to Podcast with Curtis Mack.
Hey, everybody, it's Curtis Mack. Thanks for joining us for another episode of Podcast with Curtis Mack. And as always, I have a great guest with me. Today, this guest is in a similar world as me, Mickie Kennedy, and he is in the PR world. Say hello, Mickie. How you doing?
Hi, how are you?
Good, good. You're in Maryland, right?
That's correct.
Anyway, Mickie, let's get into a little bit. Let's tell the audience your name and what you do.
Sure. So the name is Mickie Kennedy. I run e-releases, press release distribution. I've been doing that for a little over 25 years. We're a press release distribution platform. I help people go out over the wire without having to pay the exorbitant newswire fees. We sort of act as a co-op for small businesses and negotiated lower rates. So we're about a third of the cost of going directly to the newswire. And we go out nationally, helping small businesses generate media pickup, earned media when they get into the likes of New York Times or Washington Post or trade publications, magazines, TV, and radio.
I love that, Mickie. It's usually more trustworthy, I would say, sometimes than in an ad, right?
Right, absolutely.
Yeah, the PR thing is pretty neat. And that's where you get the opportunity to get the media out there for the people and you package it, you know? What I like to do is I say sometimes when I'm with people, I have them in the podcast or it's the first time in the studio, it's media training, you know? You're acclimating them to the media because at one point or another, they're going to have to speak to the media. So it's a good service that you're offering out there. How long have you been doing this, Mickie?
A little over 25 years. The thing that's so cool about earned media is people's advertising blinders don't pop up. So
that's what I think I was getting at.
Yeah, well, a lot of people when they read an article, I'm guilty of this. I see a Kickstarter article or blog post, and I just click through, and I've decided already I want to work with this company. I want to support this product, and the same thing happens with my clients when they get an article written about them. It sort of comes across as an implied endorsement. When a journalist writes about you, it's a huge credibility boost. And it's really hard to sort of compete against that social proof of having a journalist write about you, and that's a really compelling thing that you just can't do with advertising. That it almost acts like a referral when a journalist writes about you. That authority. I do point out that not everybody who read the article probably clicked through, but the ones who did and felt this great support for the person that was being written about, their organization. They get that goodwill, they click through, and especially if it's a consumer product, they just click buy. They don't open a new window and say, can I get something similar cheaper on Amazon or anything like that. So it is really a great thing, a great tool to have that, because the customers you bring in are generally not as cost sensitive as others, and they're very loyal because they've got that good feeling and they just feel like you're the real deal and they want to work with you.
They're qualified, they're qualified. They've been filtered. Truth outweighs creative. So, you have a truthful message and then you combine that with someone else advocating for your organization. I love testimonials because testimonials do a very similar thing. When you have a professional journalist, putting out a story for you, or if you have a patient or a client that says, hey, I did this and recommend you do this as well. It's so authentic.
Yeah, absolutely.
It really is so authentic. So what organizations have you worked with?
So we've worked with lots of different clients over the years. We've worked with about a third of the people that appear on Shark Tank. The producers recommend that they do a press release before their episode airs. They've said that people have had good experiences with e-releases.
Excellent. Yeah, it's so important, especially once you know who the target audience is for the client and how we can reach them. So why is doing what you do important to you, Mickie?
I think helping small businesses and entrepreneurs get access to the wire has been like a really been a purpose-driven dream of mine. I started 27 years ago working at a telecom research startup as employee number 3. And because I had writing in my background, even though it was creative writing, they wanted me to figure out press releases and we would fax them out at the time. So this was really a long time ago. And I got really good at it. And I just found that, getting using press releases to get to the media can really be like a huge leverage opportunity. You can take one message, hit send, and all of a sudden you could have dozens of people writing about you, or just two or three people writing about you. And that's really great because, the customers you get from that are just amazing. The recognition you get within your industry is also great. It really is a very powerful thing. And just to show you the power of a newswire, I have a case study on my website for the Dining Bond Initiative, which was a very short-lived project to help restaurants that were closed during the pandemic. And each one of these articles are uniquely written by a journalist. They're not the press release replicated on a website. We call that syndication in the marketplace.
You'd be surprised. People are surprised of the outcome of situations when money isn't involved. When it's like the egos are out, nobody's getting paid. Okay, let's just do this project and see how it works. And sometimes those are the best projects.
Right.
And it really is. It really is a nice thing that you are, giving these places the opportunity to get the word out, because I've had situations that I've also I started in news, and then I worked my way into sales and advertising. So I also saw press releases coming into the newsroom from police departments constantly, and then we'd have to write them up, rewrite them, voice them, and they'd go to radio, and then we'd wrap around the story 2 or 3 times. We'd make different versions of it and get quotes and interview people and use pieces of it. So who inspired you to get into communication? That's what I want to know.
I just fell into it. I graduated with a creative writing degree over 26 years ago. I specialized in creative writing with an emphasis in poetry. And I was just going to wait tables and write poetry and live a bohemian life. And so after I graduated, I spent a summer waiting tables, and I was miserable. I hated being on my feet. My knees hurt. My back hurt. I just felt so like zapped. I wasn't reading or writing. It was exhausting work. And so I needed a safe office job. I got hired at a telecom research startup, Telegeography, as employee number 3. And they just wanted me to help with PR and figure it out. And so I did, and I put my creative spin on it, and I got really good at it. We publish a lot of data and numbers, and there's a lot of anomalies, like, hey, why does one country in the Caribbean account for more telecom traffic back and forth to the US than all other countries combined? And it was because it was made the center of the 1-900 number era. And so we did a press release about that, and we got picked up, by all the major publications. And we would just send out lots of little announcements talking about these anomalies and trends. And we would routinely get picked up by, international publications like The Economist, Financial Times, as well as domestic New York Times, Wall Street Journal, Washington Post, and lots of trade publications, lots of telecom organizations and industry publications. And we would just generate so many new customers who were finding out about us, wanted access to our data, as well as just, name brand recognition. In the years, this was 26 years ago. When I started working there, the product was under $1,000 for access to our data. Today, I think it starts at $25,000 to $30,000 to get access to the data. So that just tells you that the more authority and recognition you are as an expert, you can command more money. And I think that, your brand and your reputation with the media is really one of those great things that can distinguish you from anybody else, because lots of people could compete on advertising and even features. But, if you've been recognized again and again and again in your industry by all the major publications, and everyone knows about you and routinely writes about you, that's something that you just can't buy, that expertise, that authority. You are a leader in the industry.
You're so right. And that's what the social media, I think, was intended for at first, to become thought leaders. It's that type of thing. But with that, the recognition is so key. Dr. Severe, one of my professors at Centenary University, always used to say, the definition of success is staying on course to your desired outcomes and experiences, creating happiness, wisdom, and self-worth along the way. So if you ever catch yourself doing something that doesn't bring those things towards your, desired outcomes, then, stop, take a breath, and rethink. There's also another definition my, Professor McHugh used to say, and he said success is being well known in multiple industries for different things.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
like I feel like, with yours, that's the kind of like what's going on, because if you can, like you said, you can get lost in that swimming pool of advertising, but if you're getting PR, that recognition out there organically, that's nice. That's nice, Mickie. Have you ever traveled for this position?
Um, I have. I've spoken at a few little events, mostly people in my marketing mastermind who put on events and things like that.
Mhm.
For many years, I've been off and on part of a marketing mastermind with Perry Marshall, and I found it very useful for someone who's not, business acumen guy. I'm like I said, I was a poet going into business, so there was a lot about business I didn't know, and because of that marketing mastermind, I found what I needed to know and learned, the tools and skill sets that I needed to run a business.
Sure. Excellent. Yeah, I was kind of thrown to the wolves. I was just had a boss that did advertising and sales since the 70s. He brought me on one sales call with him, and he's like, all right, that's it. Let's go, generate revenue for the radio station. And I'm like, oh geez.
Yeah.
So any short-term goals, Mickie?
We're migrating some back end of our website to more
Mhm.
modern frameworks and stuff like that. Stuff that doesn't really affect anything, but
Yeah,
we can sleep easier at night knowing that we're not on something that's not going to be supported in future years. Um, you I think that is a big thing. And another, short-term goal is just to continue to sort of, educate and get out there about the uh, ability of PR to really help people. So many people, think that PR is just for well-funded people or people who make a lot of money or large companies. And the truth is, the media doesn't like covering Google and Microsoft. They have to,
Mhm.
but they get more recognition from their audience when they curate and put the spotlight on an unknown company that has a product or solution that they've never heard of. And
Highlighting
so,
hidden talent, Mickie. Highlighting hidden talent. Whatever you want to define talent as at that point. But you're right. You're
right.
right.
And for that reason, a lot of small businesses, mom and pops, people like that, are exactly what journalists are looking for. So don't feel that, don't let this imposter syndrome prevent you from going out there and sort of, getting some media attention, feeling like you can't do it, you don't matter,
Sure.
because I'm telling you that you do, and it's not as difficult to get media attention as you think. Your size can be an advantage when it comes to getting media.
That's right. I always tell clients, tell your story before somebody else does.
Yeah.
What about long-term goals, Mickie?
I think a long-term goal is, to put more education in place for my clients, and so I feel like education is so important because the types of releases that you do could be really meaningful. There are releases that get media pickup, and if you
Sure.
focus on those, you're more likely to get that media pickup.
Have you ever received any recognition for your work? Any rewards or any awards or anything like that?
Yeah, there's several websites that have recognized us over the years. We're PR Newswire's oldest and largest reseller partner. We generally do about 10,000 releases a year.
And then any final thoughts, Mickie?
I think that PR works really well.
And now any shout outs out there? Family, friends, clients?
My children, Mira and Rowan, to all my clients, I look forward to serving you another great year.
How can you be reached?
Sure. So my website's ereleases.com. All my social media is on the lower right.
Excellent. So you've been listening to Podcast with Curtis Mack. I am the host, Curtis Mack, and today we spoke with Mickie Kennedy from eReleases. Thanks, Mickie.
Sure.
You're listening to Podcast with Curtis Mack.